Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Lewis.
Lovely to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, you've been away from us for the last 3 months on sabbatical, and it just occurred to me that maybe not everyone knows what a sabbatical is. So, you want to just tell us what a sabbatical is, why you've been on it, why Methodist ministers go on sabbatical for 3 months?
So after 7 years of ministry, or in your seventh year of ministry, the Methodist Church gives its ministers the gift of 3 months off for refreshment and renewal and, perhaps learning a new skill, which is what I've done.
Yeah, and how often do you take these?
Every 7 years.
Every 7 years, okay. And this is your first sabbatical?
My first sabbatical, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was it what you expected it to be?
I think when you do anything for the first time, you never really know.
No.
But God was really good. God surprised and delighted and refreshed me, which is, I think, the best I could have asked for a sabbatical. Yeah.
So I remember before you went, you were talking very much about a photography aspect. You wanted to learn photography and use that. And so we've got some of the results of your time with a camera away. How did you find that, learning the photography in these different sort of ways of creating shots?
Well, I'm quite a visual person. I delight in what I see, which is why I wanted to do the photography course. But if you want me to be really honest, it was quite hard. There's a lot of technicalities about exposure triangles and lots of new things to take on board. So I was glad I had the time to keep reading around it. But in reality, Lewis, I learned best through experience. So after I went on the course, it was just a case of using the time I had to go out, take photographs, keep trying. You've got here some of my best photographs, but there's quite a lot that went in the photography bin.
Yes.
So the one part of my sabbatical was stopping and noticing God and where I am with God, my relationship with God, and all of God's calling on my life. And to help me do that, I started my sabbatical by going on a retreat to a gorgeous 16th century house called Holland House. It's near Evesham. It's an Anglican retreat house, and there is a trained spiritual director who is the warden of the house, and I met him for a number of conversations where we'd have some thought-provoking questions, and then I could go away and spend the time by myself and think about them, use my camera to go throughout the grounds and go and pray. And the photograph you see, it was a gorgeous evening, the light was catching on the building, and that was wonderful. And then the very next day it snowed. So I did quite a bit of walking in the snow, and I did think to myself, well, if I have to get stranded anywhere, this is a nice place to be. But then God started to do the work we needed to do. So whilst I was there, I was walking around the grounds, and what captured my attention was a really broken step. This wooden step is splintered, it's clearly in some need of repair, and it captured my attention because at that time it was quite cold, and if you didn't tread carefully I could have slipped and fallen over. And so I stopped, I looked at it, I photographed it, I walked round it again, but I felt as if God was saying, you need to pay attention to this. Now, I, like many people, have found the last few years really difficult with the pandemic. It's been particularly hard moving in the pandemic, and my family have been unwell, and that's been also a challenge. So, God wanted me to look at this broken step. And then I had this moment of revelation where God was saying, things can get broken, things might need repair, but underneath it all, my path is rock solid. It was like God was saying, but I am the rock solid path underneath all these broken steps. And that was just an amazing comfort.
Mm.
And so the path goes down to the river. And I kept coming back to it in the 3 days I was there at the retreat. This green building is actually a prayer hut.
Lovely.
And it was a beautiful place to sit and reflect. And this was inside the prayer hut. So yes, it was snowing outside. I was wrapped up warm and I'd taken out a cup of tea, but it was a good place of peace and feeling really, really close to God. It was really important to me that I did something definite to say, right, I'm on sabbatical, let's slow the pace down,
Yeah.
let's see what God wants
Yeah.
to reveal. And that very much was the revelation that however tough life might be, God is the solid path underneath it all.
And do you think that's a thing that then continued throughout the rest of the 3 months?
Oh, absolutely. And knowing that God is this solid path underneath it all then just gives reassurance, comfort and joy. Yeah. The rest of March, the weather was quite cold. So really that was quite a quiet time for thinking, reflecting. I have some books here on the table, some of the books that I've been reading. Dementia, Living in the Memories of God. There's a lot of really good stuff in this book, but one of the things that I took away from it is that when someone can't remember, we need others to remember for us and being held in community of love. And I found that very powerful.
Mm.
That even if I can't remember, God remembers. And I need you to remember, and we'll hold you.
Mm.
And that was very moving. So this book has some scientific reflection, but also has some theological reflection. And anyone who's interested, I really would.
Mm. And of course you've been involved with the setting up and running the dementia-friendly services here at High Street. So I'm sure this has been a valuable resource for that, and a sort of way of looking at things.
Yes, and I think there's something about us being a church community, because all the time we are holding the memory of Jesus alive. So holding the personhood of people alive is really important.
Mm.
And I didn't just read theological books, I read novels as well. This book is called A Terrible Kindness, and the initial setting of the book, you think, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I'm going to like it. The initial setting is a young man who has just finished his training to be a funeral embalmer, and he gets a phone call to come to Aberfan after the Aberfan disaster, which is a very unusual start to a book, but it's his story and how he lives through trauma and finds amazing peace and joy at the end of the book. And there's some honesty. I think there's some honesty in recognising that there are times and periods in life where things get broken and they need some restoration and they need some healing. But God is still saying, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. And then, could you pass me that book on the Psalms?
Certainly.
I found this version by Nan Merrill about the Psalms, just that the language is slightly different, and I find it really encouraging. So I'd recommend that to anybody. So it's just a fresh take on the Psalms. Another theme of my sabbatical was stop and notice family and friends. Now, for people who don't know, we don't have any family or friends locally at all. Family and friends are spread out, and we have people that we know up in the northwest and people that are as far down as Cornwall. And it was really important to me to touch base with these people, reconnect.
I guess especially after the events of the pandemic that we've gone through. Because certainly you've joined us here, slap bang in the middle of the pandemic, and then worked through. So it's not an easy time to connect with anyone.
No. I mean, I went to see one friend who lives in Cornwall, and I've not seen her for 5 years. And this is somebody I'd shared a house with at university a long time ago, and I thought, 5 years is a long time. So it was really, really important to me to reconnect and be with people that have known me for a very long time, and just be.
Yeah.
And that was great.
And we've got some photos.
We have. We've got, and a highlight of all that was actually my daughter's 21st birthday, and we had a ceilidh band, and we had a good dance, and friends and family came, and it was just lovely. So stop and noticing friends and family, and having really good time to share your stories.
Yeah.
So staying up really late at night, talking into the night with friends, that kind of thing has been wonderful. So stop and notice God, stop and notice family and friends, and then stop and notice the world around me. And what captured me is people's gift of creativity. So I'm going to start with this picture, Lewis. So this amazing chocolate cake was made by my friend Liz for Jess's birthday, and Liz can make cake in a way that no one else can. Jess's birthday is actually Easter Sundays, hence all the chocolate bunnies and the Easter eggs. But that was pretty stunning.
If a picture ever spoke to me, that's one of the pictures that speaks to me.
Chocolate cake. So that was some creativity, and then noticing creativity, noticing the world around me was again that opportunity to use my camera. And I think there's something very intentional about it. So rather than your mobile phone, which is just snap and go, I was deliberately going out with my digital camera, which is a lot heavier to carry. I'm going out for a photography walk, and let's see what I see.
And do you view the world in a different way when you're doing that?
It slows you right down, because you can't snap and go. You have to kind of change the settings on the camera, you have to wait, you have to see what happens. So here are some of the pictures. So this one is in Whitstable. The picture looks like it's bright and sunny, but it's actually about 5 degrees, really, really cold. But I walked along the front of Whitstable, and I was fascinated by the shadows of the beach huts and the colours of the beach huts, and just thought, wow, that's rather lovely.
Yeah.
The way that people have painted their beach huts with different colours, but none of them are the same. There's some creativity and individuality about it all, which is quite precious. So that was at Whitstable. And I think you might like this one, Lewis.
This is a wonderful photo.
Okay, so the day after my photography course, we went to the London Festival of Model Railway Engineering. I hope
Was that your choice?
My husband's choice. But that was okay, because it was great for practicing photography, looking at the layouts. There was lots to think about. The light kept changing. Trains were moving, so I was trying to capture stuff moving, and I think this is my absolute favourite picture of I think it's the Flying Scotsman model going round the corner.
We will soon get emails if it isn't.
We'll soon get emails if it isn't. So many apologies to you experts out there. Please be gentle with me. I'd gone from a photography point of view, but we had a wonderful time. It was really good. That was at Alexandra Palace.
Yeah.
Even though the exhibitors thought I was from the press, it's not a big camera. No, I'm not from the press. Just let me have a go.
And then this.
Oh yes. Now this is called Threads Through Creation. This is an exhibition of craft, and it tells the story of Genesis. From the garden, the first bit until they're expelled, Adam and Eve are expelled from the Garden of Eden. And these collages were done by Jackie Parkinson, and the pictures doesn't show how much they are layered, but beautiful. So you can see God made the sea with the fish coming out there, and then God made the stars and the planets and the sun. Just amazing.
Now this photo, quite different.
Yes. So in the latter part of my sabbatical, I started to go away to different places, but more so with my husband and reconnecting again with family and friends, but in different places. So we went on holiday to my favourite place in the whole world, which is Barmouth, and this is the bridge that goes over the Maudoc Estuary. Again, for people that know about this bridge, it's quite an iconic bridge, and we were walking across it, and I liked this unusual view of looking through the arches of the bridge, and what you can see in the background is part of Barmouth Harbour and also the peninsula going out towards Fairbourne. So we had an amazing time in Wales. I got my mountain fix, I got my sea fix, so yeah, it was really, really good.
I often think there's something about mountains and sea, isn't there? And because they're also very biblical places, in a way, aren't they? They sort of connect us with God.
They do, and the majesty of God. Yeah, we went on the Welsh Highland Railway that goes all the way up to Carnarvon Castle. I think you've got a picture of Carnarvon Castle.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah, again, stunning how that was built all those centuries ago. But as we went up to Carnarvon Castle, we went past the foot of Snowdon. The majesty of the mountain is just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And then this
now this is really good creativity. This is something I learnt on my photography course about using a very long exposure, and it might take people a while to realise what it actually is, but we darkened the room, and then somebody used a mobile phone and put the light on the mobile phone and twirled it round and got this amazing creative effect.
And you see, when I look at that, I see a heart.
I saw a heart too.
Yeah.
Definitely saw a heart, but there's actually a person holding that phone.
Yeah.
It was quite stunning, that effect. But there's something there about the light in the darkness. And we didn't know, that they made the photography room completely dark. We were like, what? And they told us to get the settings ready. We've got the settings ready on our camera. And then they did this, and we were like, we don't know what's going to happen. And when you're actually taking the picture, you can't see that effect at all. And it's only when you look at it afterwards you think, oh wow, isn't that amazing? How one tiny light on a mobile phone can produce this effect.
There's several sermons in that, aren't there?
Probably there are. So, yes, the sabbatical has enabled me to stop and notice the world around me.
Yeah.
And I've had the gift of being able to visit different places. You can see from the pictures I really like the beach, and I really like mountains, and I really like castles, and yeah, I own it. I like trains as well, and I like craft work, and that was all really, really good. And I've had opportunity to worship in a few different places. I've been to Westminster Central Hall, I've been to St Mark's in Tottenham, I've been to a church in Hinckley, and towards the last bit of my sabbatical I also went to visit my spiritual director in Salisbury, so I've even been to choir song in Salisbury Cathedral.
Wow.
All very, very different. Yeah, and experienced what it's like to be in a different place. What it's like to be new in a different place and not actually know what's going on, and there's a lot to learn from that, and what helps you to engage with it and what makes you feel welcome, and
Well, we are thrilled to have you back, and I'm sure people will want to know, and we'll be hearing more about the experiences and some of the reflections that you've had with Sabbatical. I know there's a little project. There's a little project coming in the next few months that we're working on, that's culminated out of Sarah's sabbatical. But no doubt we'll reveal more about that in time.
Yeah. No, it's a gift. It is a really, really good gift. And I think spring for me, perfect time. I mean, you haven't got the photographs here, but a delight in seeing how, the plants start to come up and then the flowers start to bloom. And when we were on our travels, my friend said I just wouldn't keep quiet. Oh, there's a baby lamb. Oh, there's another baby lamb. And there's another baby lamb. And there's baby ducks. And it was just a joy to see everything coming to life.
Yeah.
With all that hope and promise.
Yeah.
And that was delightful. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing with us,
You are welcome.
Sarah, and we're pleased you're back.
It's good to be back. It really is. Thank you.
Pleasure.